The internet is broken. Business models and site design are entirely geared toward advertising and not the reader. On today's internet, advertisements are distracting, invasive, and overwhelming. In Den, the primary objective is quality content. Instead of ads, you may occasionally see a boosted post where a user has risked value to increase its visibility. Just like any other post, you can upvote or downvote to help evaluate the relevance to your community. The more engagement a boosted post gets, the less the booster pays. Depending on the evaluation process, a booster can get up to 85% of their money back, if the post is well targeted and engaging. In Den, quality content is the primary objective.
What is up, Denizen? We're back to a normally non-bandwidth hungry episode, I think, with Gravity Crab and T-Swift or Die. Last week was a little bit rough, so I'm plugged in this week, back home, and I'm glad to be back. What about y'all? You glad to have me back?
Are you stealthily eating a bowl of cereal?
No.
Okay.
Okay, I feel like that's a lie.
No, I took the spoon out of my coffee and licked the stuff that's in the coffee.
Okay. So John was trying to get that in last minute before the intro went down, but I think we heard some clanking whenever we went live.
Clankety clank.
So it is Wednesday again. It is the April 12th, 2022, and this is Coffee with Den. And we do it every week. If you're just tuning in, we've been doing this for 25 weeks. This is our 25th week in a row.
Oh my God.
Isn't that cool?
That's wild. I didn't even think about when we hit 20. It didn't even occur to me that we'd kind of had like a milestone moment there.
Yeah, and I love it because the progression is like if you watch the first, 20 episodes, I guess, you'll see this progression of basically me fumbling around trying to figure out what should this show be about, how should it run, and what makes it interesting every time. And I think we decided that not planning it is way better.
It's much more entertaining and considerably more enjoyable to do. Speaking of random dumb entertaining stuff, I have to throw something out here real quick.
Sure.
While we were doing our intro, I was looking at my coffee mug here. Are coffee mugs supposed to have the little thing written on it like towards you or like outward for other people to see? Because I feel like this makes more sense.
I guess it would depend on if you're left or right-handed, first of all.
I mean, I figured that.
Because that could be both. That cup could be a left-handed cup, and it is facing out.
That makes sense, because I have an old Microsoft mug at work from like the 95 era, and it was Craig's, and he's left-handed, and it's like facing me.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You want me to grab a Den mug?
I'm curious now.
Because I figured that'll be the right, whatever that is, I guess, is the right answer, right?
That's the standard for the universe, as we know.
Let me grab one real quick. Y'all should talk about something.
Oh my God. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
How have you been, buddy?
Great. So I have a new layer.
Great.
I have a new layer I want to propose for Den.
Do it.
It's going to be the distant layer, and it's just clips of Dave not being at his desk. It's just the little things that we talk about when Dave's not here.
That would actually be a funny 5 to 10 minute long video, because it would be about that long at this point.
Well, it would take that long for me to actually find one, because what I did find, this isn't going to be as helpful at all, right? So I thought I was going to be helpful and say, well, what are these? Let's see if there's a standard. First of all, the one that I'm using is handmade. And it's
that's nice. It's got stuff around all of it.
Well, not handmade, but hand-painted, I guess. Speaking of, somebody wanted to know what's in our cup this morning. What's in my cup is coffee with oat milk.
Coffee?
Yeah. If you're weirded out about milk like I am, just being a thing that comes out of an animal that needs the pus filtered out and then bleached to be white again, and then skimmed from the particles and the fat pieces, and then put in a bottle and then refrigerated and then shipped and then shelved and then consumed by a human. To me, that's weird. Go for oat milk. It's creamy. It's not like almond milk where it tastes like almonds and it's watery. So yeah, pro tip: stop drinking cow milk. You're not a cow.
And, I think you might have just ruined milk for me.
Good.
And I didn't think that someone could do that.
Also,
I don't like that at all.
So now they give cows and stuff like a bunch of hormones and things like that. So you end up drinking all those, like all that stuff comes out in the milk. So that's also hormones and stuff that you're consuming. So yeah,
it's all part of the supply chain.
Wait, am I the minority now? Like the people that consume normal milk?
I do consume normal milk, but not normally.
Like, I will. I don't care.
Weird, it's not like I do it in a weird way or something, like I stick it in my armpit, but like
with an eyedropper,
Yeah.
I just don't buy milk. If there's milk in something, I don't care.
Yeah.
If I'm traveling and somebody like if like, hey, can I get a coffee? You want some milk in that or cream? Yeah, give me some cream. That sounds great. I'll drink it. This stuff. I'm not making life hard for myself. I just if I have the ability and the preference, then I won't go for it.
I'll do a milk substitute if there's an option. If there isn't, like, I'll go with it. So it's cool. Yeah.
I found 2 that are not Den cups. So the reason this isn't helpful is so I've got the Dragon Chain one, right? But it's on the front. It's like it's wrapped around it. So I can't make any calls on this, right? Because it's on both sides as far as what side it's supposed to be on. And then I was like, oh, cool, a Bitcoin mug, right? But guess what's on the other side?
Another Bitcoin logo?
Yeah.
I feel like that would be... that is the answer, though. You just answered it. Like, the way it should be is on both sides.
Yeah, and then this one, since we're talking about coffee mugs, this one's got Super Nintendo controllers on it. Also all the way around. So I don't know the answer is the answer. I don't know.
Do you want me to go find you the answer?
Yeah.
All right, 1 second.
All right. Well, John can do that. And what I want to do is I want to pull up some of the feedback and replies that people have left on the post and just go over a reminder about how to join the call if you want to and things like that. For
some of those were fun to this
anybody that's tuning in. Yeah, for sure. So let's see. Let's bring this onto the stream. And if you're just listening, all I'm doing is pulling up the post where usually the day before we'll post and say, hey, here's the episode. Leave your commentary and we'll get to it on the show. And it's also where you find the, if you need to find your local time, I typically update that. Sometimes I forget, so don't freak out if it says it was 2 weeks ago. That just means I forgot to update it. And then there's this part here that says join the call live. And when you do that, it literally dumps you into StreamYard, and you can join the call live, and you'll pop up here with us. So click that if you want to hop in and chat, or simply put something in the replies. And I guess I'll say the last thing, we have I haven't thought about this, but we do have a new chat room, I guess. And since we're in the Den layer, we should probably start monitoring Den chat on the show if we're live. So let me pull that up and say, hey, also Den, and at the top will be the chat button, right? That's pretty new. You can pop stuff in here too if you want, right? So cool. There's that. Now, what have we got waiting for us? We've got Dragon Chain Hodler. Good morning, Hodler. We've got Josh O. Good morning. Good morning. And I've replied to some of these already, obviously. Jacob Wayne. Hello. Again, hi. Josh O. And that's
I like this picture, by the way.
Oh, the one that I put down here.
Next to a Waffle House.
Yeah.
That's some shit I could see happening in Florida.
Right, because so we're Florida men at the moment.
We're sane.
And this is some of the shit we've seen. Not that exactly, but if I drove by a Waffle House with a tank out front, it would be curious, obviously, but I'd be like, huh.
I'd go about my day.
I just keep going.
I might even go to that Waffle House.
Yeah, I drove a tank to Waffle House. How about that? Yeah.
You remember? Were you here or were you out of town when? Okay, so when you had the other store, we were in High Springs. That's where we became buddies. Do you remember when all of the shootings were happening and everything in the news at schools, and High Springs bought a tank?
Wait, when was this?
Oh, probably.
What year?
It's like 7 years ago. This was a while ago.
Oh,
God, I'm old.
I know that. Now with High Springs,
they had like a legitimate.
Oh, we've got a
huge armored APC
on there.
Chris, a while.
Sit tight, man. We'll bring you up in a minute. I can see you down there, so just hang tight, and we'll bring you up.
We have a human.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that was in High Springs. I think they were given a
right. They were given a few of them.
Or a light armored personnel carrier or something. I want to say there was such a like people were like, "Why do we have this?"
Yeah, they were pissed. Like
Yeah.
the town was not happy about it. We had it for like 6 months, and it was
Yeah,
awesome.
and
I'm gonna be
then
honest, it's kind of a great idea.
I loved
Because-
it. It was great.
Well, because like in your head, it's like, oh, I'm not gonna take down somebody with a tank, but if anything happens, you just funnel off 13 people in the town into the tank.
because it's Nice Springs, right?
That's a pretty good accurate. That's accurate, honestly.
There's 6 people that go to school. You know,
I want to say they either gave it back or they sold it somehow because, like, overwhelmingly the residents did not want the police department to have a tank.
It was in the middle of their parking lot. Like you could see it from. And so, to people who haven't been here, High Springs has a small police station that is next to an enormous sinkhole, and you can't really drive near it. But there's roads that you can pass that can see it, and you could see it no matter where the hell you were. It's next to a church, which was incredible. Now that I think about it, that's the most American thing I've ever said.
I just like how
park next to a church.
In my head, it's like hell's opening up to swallow this police department and church at the same time.
Well, we do have, like, I have seen billboards in Florida advertising. It's like on 95 going north or something. There's a place that sells guns and Bibles. It's like that's what's on the sign. So that's the thing, yeah. So I want to bring up Chris while he's got a minute.
Do it.
Which Chris is this?
Hey, how's it going, Chris?
It's that Chris.
I pulled over.
Good morning to you. Good timing. So yeah, good morning. Welcome to Coffee with Den. And you want to introduce yourself? I don't think anybody knows who you are. So who are you? Where are you from? And what's up with life?
Oh, wow. That's a big question. Yeah, I'm Chris Philly. I'm a licensed contractor, dabble in real estate. Community development is what I'm passionate about. And
Yes.
Good stuff.
I'm very interested, I'm
Chris
also
and I have been talking a little bit about community development stuff with decent games and stuff too. So that's we're both passionate about that.
That's why I've heard the name Chris. Gotcha.
Wait, that's how you've heard the name Chris? You know
Yes,
there's
I've
other
never met
Chris's
another
the
Chris
world.
in my life. Nope, never in my life, John. Never have I seen. I've never seen
rare name.
first encounter.
I'm trying to guess where you are by your background. I don't know.
I'm in downtown Gainesville, actually.
Yeah.
I'm behind the arcade bar where I'm doing a job. I'm building an art gallery and cinema back here.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What's the I don't know how much you can say on that, but what's the overall plan for that? Because I don't think I'm familiar with it.
It's the Slate Gallery. It's actually where the How Bazaar started, which is pretty cool.
There's a show going on up there soon. I just saw. Yeah.
Yep.
cool.
So we're trying to get them finished up, and you know how that goes.
What is that? So what's that going to feature? What's that going to look like? In general, I guess.
Basically small. I mean, it's a maybe 1,500 square foot art gallery and an art house cinema. So
Awesome.
he's going to play. Just to give you an idea, he's going to play Eraserhead every week on like Wednesday.
Really? Just like as it. Oh, that's fantastic.
Just
Like his
because.
favorite. So yeah.
Is it free? Is it free? And if the answer is yes, can I charge admission and just stand at the door?
There's two things I love about this. One, like whoever's like, I want to open a gallery and just play Razorhead. Like he's doing what he wants in life. Like that's what he wanted to do as a kid, and now he's doing it. And two, Chris, I'm sure you came on this show to talk about your day job.
But, it does get interesting from time to time. So.
Yeah. So I don't know how much time you got, Chris, but I'm going to field a couple of questions that people have left or the replies here on Den. If you want to chime in, great. If not, kick back and listen to us talk about it for a minute.
Unless there's something you want to talk about. Did you come on the show?
Yeah, if you got something cool to babble about, let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm very interested in getting into a DAO and NFT, real estate. I think Dave's been talking to y'all about that. So that's my interest in this whole thing, as well as the social media component, which I've been threatening to get on Den for like the last year, and I'm just one of those things.
That's all right.
It's the same thing that I did.
I will. Dave is gonna sit me down and log me in. So that's
Yeah, we will. A year ago, it was not as like it's pretty polished compared to a year ago, right? We've got chat rooms now. We've got the actual DAO governance tools weren't there a year ago either. So I actually haven't talked to you guys much about this. I've been kind of keeping it close to the chest. I wasn't sure like when we were gonna like actually launch and go for this, and I didn't want somebody else to pull the idea before we got around to it. But yeah, so Chris and I are talking about. So okay, let me back up a little bit. Oh, there's a bird that's very loud.
Welcome to here.
Den is right now we're onboarding a DAO called Sticky DAO, and they're an NFT NFT investment group. So what they're doing is they are either facilitating the members. Well, like NFTs are weird and different in a lot of ways, but in a nutshell, they're investing in NFTs that they think will be lasting, that will stick around for a while. Sticky DAO. And they're using that as their treasury investment. And if those assets go up in value, they have more value and they all reap the rewards, and maybe they can reinvest into new projects. And so they needed a place for governance to operate their DAO in a way that wasn't complicated, that also came with a bunch of interesting features like staking for, like non-native coins or tokens to Den and things like that. Because you can, with the way that Den is built, being on top of Dragon Chain, you can hook in to any blockchain regardless of where your DAO is and what tokens you have and how you're operating and all that. So with that, we now have this sort of turnkey DAO solution on Den with a different company called Smart Balance. And there's like 3 or 4 different tiers of how to make a layer now, really. In the beginning, it was just the LCP, which is the free way of doing it that's going right now. In fact, Chris, I don't know if you have any lore, probably not since you haven't been on Den, but right now is a voting phase. We're voting on what layers come in next into the community. And so this is all free to participate in. And the ones that get created there are a community called an LCP layer, right? So there's a different type of layer that is used to be called B2B. It's business to business. It's a business layer. And it operates a little bit differently, but it's also in the economy of Den. And the business operating it has a little bit more control over it than, say, a community random people layer, right? This is what the Gainesville layer is. I started it as a business, and now we're using the tokens for governance in the business, right? So with that, you can either purchase a regular layer with all the features that come baked into Den, like the layer governance and the lot issuance and all of that. You can step it up and get some custom tooling for your layer, where the governance is a model that you decide. Maybe you have an outside token that you've used for whatever purpose. Maybe it's fundraising. Maybe it's issuance for utility to operate within your community. Maybe it's whatever. We can actually take those and then count them inside of the Den governance for the DAO. So you don't have to basically start the whole thing here. You can have an existing thing and just wrap it in a Den, governance toolkit. And then we can even go one step further. There's another package that is like the all-in. It takes development time and a little extra planning, but you can do what the Den DAO is doing, which is behavioral-based governance, where you take people's actions, whether that's be participating in the community or whatever you measure it as. I think Sticky DAO is doing one where they actually measure people's participation rate in the governance items themselves. So like if you're participating more often, which is what you want, then you can actually get an extra, not an extra vote, but an extra vote. You get weighted more in your voting. And so so that is to say that Chris and I have been talking about this because what we could really go for is a real estate DAO in Gainesville. And I think we can do a lot of community good with that. I think we can talk to a lot of people that have similar passions as us. Everyone's kind of 2 years of just grinding through whatever this has been for the last, couple of years. And there's all of this fertile, maybe more of a when a forest burns down and there's all this, fertile ash soil and everything sprouts up again. That's what I'm seeing. It's a bunch of people look around and say, okay, there's a lot to do if we want to right now. Like, it's a good freaking time because, everyone's reinventing themselves, and everyone's like, even the fashion's changed. So what better time to build something new than right now? So anyway, there's a little hint on what we're talking about, but basically, we would like to make Gainesville owned by the community who lives here. That would be fantastic, wouldn't it?
We got a while. Do we start building walls at some point?
Yeah, maybe around some places.
Yeah, start build a wall around the whole town, and then we can just like send riders out to claim other towns.
You just want to play Age of Empires.
You know,
it's the zombie apocalypse time, right?
Yeah. So that was a little bit long-winded, Chris, but I think that's generally the idea that we're rolling with.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool.
Any more thoughts on that?
I like I think it's an interesting idea because I think that's like it's like the most like people taking control of their area. It's like, you know what? None of us can afford to buy anything. What are we? Housing's too expensive. None of us can afford to buy anything. What are we gonna do? Pool our money as a community and buy stuff.
Yes.
Which is so much better than having somebody come in and build another luxury apartment complex. And you know, every time we mention
we've
that,
already got empty ones. Why do we need more?
That's a good point.
Like it's just it's nuts and upsetting.
Yeah.
And makes me sad.
I mean, it's not like Dubai at all. Except the one thing is like there's I see empty buildings, and I see more buildings being built when there's already empty buildings. You know, and I'm like, oh, okay. I hope this. I don't know. We'll see. I know it's going vertical. You know, in a way that's just like, you know, who gets to say how it's built? You know, if you don't have the leverage, and this is where community leverage can count. So let's jump into this real quick and see what we have to say. This is about LCP voting. You guys cool with pivoting over to this, or are we still? I'm bad about cutting people off, so just
I'm going to step out for a second, but I'll be back.
Yeah,
okay, cool. I'll bring you down, and then I'll notice when you're back too. No problem. Cheers.
Okay, cool.
So let's see. Dragon Chain Hodler says for LCP voting, the number 8 and 11 voted layers will rank number 1. Correct? Just trying to understand. I think it's a good idea to do it this way because people will be more likely to vote on their passions versus what's currently winning. Also, more importantly, how does Gravity Crab handle all the fame and groupies that come with being on the show? How does he not let it get to his head and shows up on time, ready to podcast? How do you deal with all the attention, dude?
This is the second time. I think this is the second time I got asked that today.
It could be a running joke. I don't know.
I guess I'm a running joke. I'll take it. I'm fine with that.
Well, no, there was another one I thought that was asked for me. I don't know.
I don't see. I can't even leave my house at this point without so many just beautiful women and men flocking me. I'm not famous. I would hate being famous. That would be terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know how I make it on time for this show in the morning. Lots of coffee.
Yeah. I like supporting from the distance too. Since this was about LCP, let's go into the LCP real quick because this is right. 8 and 11 instead of number 1 based on votes.
I just realized I have so much fucking lore compared to normal.
I know.
I've been forgetting to vote and stuff.
Isn't that amazing? It's like, oh crap, it's all there.
Where did this
It's been automatically staking for you this whole time. You didn't even have to think about it.
I remember before, I had, like when I first started, I think it was like I had like 40 or something. I don't know. And now it's very different.
Yes, that's what happens. Yes.
I'm like, I'm gonna go put 4 votes in everything, so I own a little bit of every layer.
There you go.
Holy crap!
There, and this is my account, and this is me, dumping stuff into things that I'm passionate about, like mining and firearms, I guess.
At the same time.
But and it's like once these win, you're gonna see my percentages anyway. It's not like it's that private. But yeah. So right now, as it stands, normally we have the top, let's say 2 from the unique voters, and the top 1 from lore, the max, total lore. And the idea was like, okay, well, whatever people vote for the most, whether or not it's like, majority, a few people or not, that should win. And then also, even if you don't get that much, like to compete in that category, if you have 42 people that want to make Japan, and you got 42 people that want to make India, let's make it. You know what I mean? Like, you've got more support and more people wanting to make it, so awesome. But what we found out is we still almost always got the same one winning the top slot on both lore and unique voters. So it effectively removed the category of lore, right? Because it was already accounted for. By the time people see that one of them is winning over here, they're just going to throw their lore in because they're like, oh, I want to get some of that. And by doing so, it also becomes the top unique voters. You know what I mean? So to combat that a little bit and to make it less janky and gamified for whales to decide just what needs to go to the top, instead of number 1, we are going to do number 8, whatever that ends up being, and then number 11, whatever that ends up being. So we could get right now, if the cards fell, or if whatever the phrase is that my brain can't think of, if the contest ended now, you would get craft beer and preppers, which I think is fantastic.
Wait,
right?
Hold on.
We're shooting for 8 and 11?
Can you explain this again? Because I thought I heard something really stupid, and I feel like I
Sure. Yeah.
So we're not.
So before we were doing the top number 1 by lore,
Yeah.
and the top 2 by unique voters. This number here, 42.
Yeah.
Right. Now we're doing the top 2 by unique voters still, and not number 1, but we're going to dig down deep a little bit and get number 8 and 11.
So many questions.
Yeah.
Why?
Who had a seizure and just chose 8 and 11?
Joe. I think Joe did.
Okay, great. That makes sense. He likes to have just things that happen to him.
Let me go look. There should be a post for it in Den.Social because it was voted on governance. Yeah, it was a governance vote. Let me see.
It was a governance vote, then it's going to happen. But like that's interesting.
LCP, and then see what LCP things there are. MISC.
I don't think I've ever
this is probably the one,
right? For being like, congratulations, you've won. You've made 8.
Oh no, is this right? Hold on. Top 2. Oh no, this is the wrong one. This is an older one. Let me go by time. I was going by hottest and most popular. All right, let's see here. Is this the one? Is it the same one? It's the same one. Standby. Governance call. No, it's not in there. Development features. Wait, why is this all the way at the bottom? Pardon me while I navigate. All the way to the top. All right, come back down. Here it is. 13, not 11. I was wrong. I'm glad we looked. So forget everything I said, except remember everything I said and change 11 to 13.
So it's number 1. It's number 1 in unique voters, and then number 8 and 13 in lore.
Yes. So let's go over this. The intent of the experiment. And here's the vote. You can see some voted against, some voted for.
Scroll back up and let me see who posted this shit.
This is Joe. Yeah.
Okay, great.
So the intent of this proposal is to experiment with the LCP economics and the gaming that occurs in layer selection. This change should ideally produce layers with lower lot supply and make it harder for whales to control which layers are created. Whales being somebody that have an enormous amount of lore, right?
So got it.
Right. I mean, I've been here for over a year, so I've stacked a lot of lore. Yeah. So theoretically, if I wanted to, I could add probably a couple million lore to a proposal to push it up to the top and say, I win, right? So to mitigate that, based on the results of this change, we could retain it or adjust the rank numbers or counts, etc., in later LCP. So it doesn't have to be 8 and 13. It's just an experiment to see what the outcome is if we don't do the number 1 and we dig deep instead.
Okay, hold up. Let's say I was said whale with Mountain of Coin.
Yeah. This is great. Let's talk about it.
I know that it's going for 8 and 13, so I'm just going to shoot for 8 or 13.
How do you do that?
The problem with that is, you don't
because
know.
I've got a shitload more than anybody else. So
okay, but if I want, here's what I'm saying though. If I go in here and I've got 3.9%, right? And I'm like, dude, I fucking love beer. I'm borderline alcoholic. This is for me. And I go in here, and I'll do it right now just to show you. And I'm like, I want more than 3% of that, dude. I have a big balance. You know, if I wanted to, I could be like, oh, you know, win or whatever. But I don't want. It's unhealthy to have too much of it. So what I'm going to say is I want a little bit more than 3%. So let's say what is 10? It counts. You see the bottom, the number changing. I'll just start adding some zeros. 20%. That sounds great.
So just do
I'll
50,
vote on that.
10% of it. Okay, never mind.
Right, hang on. I'll vote on that. I'll commit that lore, and all of that gets turned into lot, one for one. Every lore you put in, if it wins, gets converted to an NFT lot where you have ownership. Now I did that. Now let me go back and let me refresh.
Now
right?
It's number 7. It's right there. It shows you.
Oh, did it? It already did it live?
Yeah.
I'm assuming. See, look, it works better than I even thought it did. And now craft beer is number 7, so it lost.
Right, but that's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying, let's say I wanted science and technology to be number 8. I would do exactly what you just did.
Okay.
And then if I wanted it to go back down, I would remove some of my committed to make that lore win. To make that lot.
The thing is, then you have less value. Then you have less ownership in it, though.
But that's fine. If the point is to make it where like somebody can't just be like, oh, this layer now wins, I can still do that.
Have you ever played a multiplayer game?
Yes.
Assume that there are 20 other people in here doing the same thing for the layers they want to win in real time, live.
Yeah, so that's your problem, is that you're also like fighting against other people. I like the idea of making it more difficult for like, oh, whatever like this person wants in the community is just gonna win every time. I like that idea, but I think the problem that you run into is now you're like lowering the value of lore.
Lowering it?
Yeah, like how much it's worth. Like now your lore isn't going to matter as much, right?
Well, it gives you the ability to claim ownership and support things that you like. Like that's the whole point, is we want people to say, okay, I don't actually know for sure which one's going to win now. So just in case science and technology wins, I've got 0% of that. I at least want, I don't know, 2, you know, so I'll put 10,000 in or whatever and get 2% and vote on that. And if everybody does that, it's going to be more decentralized in like what people are actually interested in. So like I'm going to throw some in there just in case it wins. Just like, you know, like if let's say anime and manga wins, I got nothing in that, you know. And if I don't, this is also because it's LCP, no more lot can ever get created. So if you didn't make it in that round, you never get any lot or ownership unless you buy it from someone else or they tip it to you for participating in things like that, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
So
what was your actual question, though? Yeah.
So, but here's the thing. Isn't what you're saying the purpose of the unique voters one?
Yes.
Yeah. So the purpose of giving like the top 2 unique voters is so that the whales can't come in and just throw their dick down and open up a layer, right?
Well,
so why do we have that 2 ways?
Because
all I'm seeing now is that the one that everybody wants, which is mining, isn't gonna win.
Now it still can win.
No, it can't. Right? Because it would have to go down to 8 or 13.
It could if somebody came in here and removed a chunk of their vote that dropped it down to number 8.
Or
if other ones,
which is my entire point as being a bad thing.
Or it could win if every.
Where's for example, let me find. Yeah, India, perfect. So India's down here at number 10, right? It's also number like 2 or something in unique voters, right? So if it looks like that's going to win, people are going to start adding their lore to it, which is going to push it up from number 10 potentially to number 8, right? What was happening before was that in the beginning there were different layers that were winning both categories, but at the end it was always the same 2 layers at the top, always for like 4 or 5 months.
You're right. And then the community grew because you were dealing with a smaller community, right? It was like there were only however many people that had all the lot, but that also were also engaged, right? Now there's newer people that are engaged that don't have all the lot, right? So your community grew. Does that make sense?
I don't necessarily think that everybody who puts in lore is engaged. I think a lot of people just want to have some ownership of it, even if they don't participate. And I guess that's what we'll have to see at the end of this experiment to see how it comes out, right? That's why
the fact that they're voting makes them engaged. Them voting means that they're more engaged than the rest of the people that just create an account and forget about it.
Yeah, you're very correct on that. What I think would be interesting is to see if there's any correlation between the amount you vote or commit and the frequency that you participate in governance, like GIs and stuff. You know what I mean? Because I guess ultimately what we want is ownership to. We want ownership to go to people that are passionate about the subject, because those are the people that are going to be writing or spreading the word about a particular layer, or maybe if there's a photography club that they can go ask their friends to get into it. Like, I would like more people that are passionate about the topic and less people that are passionate about how profitable it might be because it's the Elon Musk layer or something, you know, that kind of thing. Like, Elon Musk layer got a ton of people in it and a bunch of lore. And it's an okay layer. There's memes and Elon stuff in there. But I don't think it made it any less or more lively than if it had been something that won this way. But I don't know. We haven't done it before. It's a good point.
Yeah, so
a lot of this is change one small thing to see what happens. And if it's a good thing, maybe keep it and maybe even improve that a little bit. But if it ends up being something that's not working for the community or for people that vote on like how to do this stuff, we can totally pivot back. You know, have another Den.DAO vote and say, hey, here's the results from this LCP. Here's, you know, what we think happened differently. What does everybody think? Is it better? Is it worse? Should we go back? That kind of thing.
I understand that it's an experiment. And like, you can always go back. I just think it's dumb. Which is just fair.
That's fine. That's fine.
So I think like the other issue you run into is like the idea that changing how the LCP and how layers are made is gonna affect people's engagement and governance is like it's not, they're not correlated. Like, just make.
Well, that's why I was saying I'm wondering if there is a correlation or not. Yeah.
Well, make engaging in governance better. You know, if you have a broken arm, don't take an antibiotic. Fix the broken arm. You know what I mean?
That's very true. I like what Sticky DAO is doing, where they're measuring on top of what we're doing. Some of their custom tooling is actually accounting for participation in governance, where that does affect your, I guess, like your, what do you call it? Not reputation. It's like a combination of reputation, voting weight, and sort of like community value score, and that all goes into the governance. I do think that we could use incentives on governance. Yeah. Right now it's, in fact, I probably have some that I haven't voted on, you know, if I go to governance right now, right. So we have a banner profile change. So doing stuff like going in and approving or denying a profile change. I think a banner is better than no banner. What does it say? It says expand your knowledge, have fun, and win prizes on Den.Social's official contest layer. Awesome. It's even got the Den logo. It looks dope. I'm going to vote yes for what it's worth and commit that. Now, in doing this commit, I think I should get a little point or something, right? That says, you know, you've been an active member in the contests community, right? Not just one of the owners, but actually voting on stuff to keep things moving along, make sure we get a banner up, stuff like that. We don't have those incentives in place right now, but I think that we should have them.
So, by the way, you and I are the only two people that have voted on this, on that issue, on that governance issue.
Right, which is a great illustration of like where we can.
It's also only been up for 3 hours.
Okay.
But like, you know what? Like, hey, we have a little like notification icon by the bell. There was no notification icon by the governance issue.
That's true.
Honestly, I forgot that that's where I click for governance issues.
Yep, the gavel.
I liked it. I liked it when there were words there.
I agree. Because I don't know what the block of cheese does.
So here's what's confusing, right? You want to get even more confused? At the moment, this used to be this little like the people icon. That used to be who you're following.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So it used to be followers. If you click on it now, it is now the list of layers. However, because there's asynchronous development happening right now between the site and the app, and the app isn't updated to this yet. On the app, there's still the 2 squares for layers, and then this symbol is still for your following people, right? So that's confusing. Maybe compounded by the words going away. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that needs cleaned up, and that's fine. That's part of building. Is like there's dust everywhere.
That's the fun part.
It's not a bug. It's a feature. All right.
It's not a bug. It's just like it actually is a feature. It's just a feature that's in the process of implementation. So it's buggy.
I feel like it's that Facebook thing where like everybody's in between. It's like I hate this, then they get used to it, and they're like, it's fine, and then they change. It's like I hate the new thing. Well, you hated it before. Well, so what's
I think everybody's fine with putting things back that change if it doesn't work out. It's just the initial. I don't know how to identify. Oh, it's different. So because I do that versus okay, this kind of it's actually okay. Like is that if it changes over time, it was probably an initial change cringe. If it doesn't change over time, it's probably an issue and needs to be fixed or changed back. That kind of thing. I want to shout out real quick to good morning to Mladen, to Nomadic Gear, who is waiting on the phone with the IRS right now. Best of luck with that, my friend.
Good times. The Nomadic Gear's been over there all morning.
That's it for now. So that's I want to agree with you basically, John, and say, yeah, there's some things that either aren't certain to work out the way that it's envisioned, but we got to try to find out, I think, and things that are planned but not implemented, like push notifications for governance. I think everybody agrees that if you have ownership in a layer and you're eligible to vote on a GI, that when that governance issue or that proposal is submitted, like the banner change that we just saw, right? You should get on your app, you should get a push notification saying, hey, there's a governance issue for you to vote on or something like that. So it's a real quick, like, oh, cool, let me see what it is. Click on it. No, that's dumb. No. Or yes, that's great. Yes, commit. That should be, more than just a blue dot. A blue dot will be a good start. But actually having push notifications for governance issues will be important. And then the app will just take you right to it.
It'd be nice to be alerted pretty much immediately when there's somebody bringing something up, because then that's going to get people to vote on it much faster.
Because we'll
actually get stuff sorted quicker as well.
And here's how you do your callback to the LCP and lore is I think when you vote on governance issues, you should be paid back in lore. So that way you're incentivizing people that are engaged in governance issues to create layers that they're still going to be.
Actually, clever.
That's pretty good.
I'm a fucking smart dude.
I was going to say, Jesus, John. Over here throwing out council decisions.
You know what's interesting is we just passed, let me think. Did it pass? I think so. Let me go to governance again. There was one about a bunch of extra lore that was left over from last year that didn't get used. Yeah, this. And how to use it. And so this gives a little history, blah, blah, blah. Basically, excuse me.
Like John just figured it out.
Basically, we were like, okay, here's what we got left over. 804 million lore to distribute to everyone on Den. So how do we do that? The option you just brought up, I wish was in there, because that could, and it can actually still be added, the result of this is implemented in a way that it can still be used for what you were talking about. But basically, we wanted to know what to do with it. One of it was to distribute it evenly until 25. So each year you get 200 million more lore to everyone on Den. Or what if there's a halving algorithm? So it's more now to early adopters who, like we were just talking about, come in, you have to put up with some jank. You have to argue your case that pulling the words off were a bad idea. Like all these things that, later on people are not going to have to think about. But the idea here is to reward early adopters who are willing to build and work together to, fix shit that's wrong, improve things that could be, and keep the things that are working and identify those and vote and all that. So that's one. And it just tapers off through 2030. And then the options for putting it into liquidity, which is like the simplest way I know how to explain why that's important, is that the more liquidity you have for a token, the less economic impact there is when people buy or sell it, right? If it is low liquidity, if there's not much liquidity, then when people buy and sell it, the price swings a lot. And people are like, oh my God, it's weird, you know? But if you get a bunch of liquidity in there, it just a little bit of a tick up or down. Uniswap V3 helps with that over V2, but the liquidity part is like, cool, if we put more in, there'll be more, and it'll be better. And then I think the part that won was this one of these, where you do 10% in liquidity, and I think, what one? We can do. So here's all the options after they're explained, and we decided 10% in liquidity and then distribute the remainder with a halving algorithm. Cool, and that's basically the same thing as the taper off, like we were talking about. So that means there's a bunch more lore in the existing farming system, the staking, the lore generation, but we can still change the percentages of how that gets paid out. So you could say we could create another pool that says, maybe 10% of the lore rewards goes out to, or 5% or 20% or whatever we figure out a good number is, goes out to people who participate every period, whether that's a day or a week or a month, based on their governance interactions. Maybe it makes sense to do it once a month, so it accounts for like an LCP cycle. The governance issues don't go out that often, that kind of thing. I don't think a daily would matter as much until it gets busier, but maybe it does. So that's what we could do. That's a good idea, John. Good idea.
Honestly, the entire point of Den, other than it being, a social media site built on crypto-y stuff, is, incentive-based things. So, I mean, if you're incentivized to vote, people are going to vote more. So yeah, I like that.
And like the other point of Den is that it's a DAO, that it's a decentralized organization, right? So
yes,
if people aren't voting, then it's not decentralized.
That does seem like a key flaw.
Yeah, people need to vote for it to be governed that way.
And you need to give people the tools to vote. If there's no way to make lore besides buying it or waiting for like your refresh, like engaging in governance issues and like being part of like the rulemaking system should incentivize you to make the layers, right? If you're involved in government, then you should be able to make a state. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and that should be really easy because I see a lot of people bringing up really good points, but I don't see anybody proposing anything or voting on stuff that is related to that sometimes even. You know what I mean?
Because there's no incentive to vote. Because there's no incentive for governance issues. And there's
welcome to Identifying Flaws in the System with John Branch and David Miller and Dave Johnson.
That's what we do in the morning.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you brought that up. I hadn't thought about doing obviously I've thought about incentivizing governance, but I just haven't put any thought to what's the most sensible way to do that. And I like using lore because it is related to layer ownership and governance in the first place. That is our sort of governance token.
It's the most relevant token for it.
Layer ownership rights is what it stands for. So in participating in governance, you get more rights to layer ownership, which you can then convert into lot by voting on your favorite. Or you can even, I don't know if you know this, but when you create a business layer, not only do you have the fee that goes along with that, but you also have to bring your own lore.
Yeah.
So if you want to mint 1 million NFTs for your business layer, for whatever reason, you need to bring 1 million lore. Whether you get that from farming on Den or buying it from another denizen, peer-to-peer, or going out to Ether, to Ethereum and grabbing some from there and bringing it in, that's all use for lore. And I like using it because it's cheap intentionally, so you can use it for like it's just easier to throw it around where it's needed, and it's actually it's like an entire different type of utility than Matter. Matter actually creates lore, which is cool. Lore creates lore too, but Matter creates more lore.
So, I mean, if you want to write it up, go for it, because I don't really quite know how to say it probably in the right Den lingo.
Yeah, I'm gonna
But it's up
let
to
me
you.
put that on my to-do list for today, actually, real quick, because I'm gonna forget that. Um, Governance incentives. Oops, I can't type this morning. Incentives by T Swift or Die. Cool. Now, I think that it's a good time to show a really potato quality video that I recorded for somebody yesterday who had a question about gas fees and stuff. Is anybody interested in that?
Yes, that gives me time to get coffee.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So everybody who's listening in, we're gonna take a coffee break. I'm gonna show a video that is me answering a question that a friend of mine had about what are Ethereum gas fees and how do I estimate them and where do I go to look for it. There is an F-bomb in there, so a heads up on that. But it does also talk a little bit about what we're doing in Gainesville specifically with decent gains, how you might avoid fees, why you might want to pay them in the first place, and maybe some thoughts on claiming them as a tax write-off if you can do that as a business, which is what I plan to do. So here's that video, and we will be right back. Questions coming from. My brain's not booted up yet. So if you go to etherscan.io, so that's etherscan.io, oops, not op.io, yes, we will get a website that is the go-to like official Ethereum Foundation maintained tracker for all of Ethereum blockchain. So you can look at all the transactions, anything that anybody's doing, you can just go spy on it and you can see how much money they have and how much they're sending and what they're buying and selling. And this is where you can drill in to all of the dangerous side of transparency, but also keep people accountable. Let's say this is like the flow of tax dollars through your government system. You kind of would want to be able to inspect all that, right? So one of the things we're talking about was like gas fees and shit like that. Looks like it's pretty low right now. It says median gas price, 42 gwei. Oh, where's my cursor? 42 gwei. So a gwei is just a word that represents a certain unit of account of Ethereum. To make that less confusing, just know that it's talking about how much Ether you have to send as a gas fee with your transaction, right? So what this will do, let me just go back and show you where I clicked. You just click right on the gas 42 gwei, and it brings you to this. You get a little chart. It's dynamically updated. It'll tell you, like right now, if you wanted to send a transaction, there's a bunch of different transactions that could be, right? You could just be sending some tokens from somebody. Let's say decent gains, right? You are a local business in, just an example, let's say you're a local business in Gainesville, and you see that there's this growing community of people doing this thing called the Den experiment, and they keep building and they keep coming together and adding new members, and slowly it's becoming this sort of place to go and talk about not only cryptocurrency and blockchain, but beyond that, like how to use it for community and local business and culture and lifting people up out of poverty and giving people access to financial options that they are typically culturally, systemically omitted from. And that's an interesting thing, right? So as that community builds, a business might say, I want to advertise to that community. How do I do it? Well, if you come to us, we'll say we don't advertise. We don't do that. We don't have anything like Facebook does, because we don't steal people's personal information and sell it to advertisers to tell them how they should, who to target, you know? So what we do, though, is we have boosts where you can post something or we can post it for you, and then that post will show up higher in the feed for visibility so that people see it as if people have voted it up as good content and that kind of thing. So what we would do is we would say, sure, let me sell you some advertising credits for our community, right? So we have those in the form of a token called Matter, MTR, and if I wanted to send that fee to the business-to-business transaction, I would need to calculate and account for the gas fees, because the gas fee, for one, is something I'm going to write off on taxes, It's a cost of doing business, making a transaction. There's a fee involved that I have to pay to do business, right? So track your gas fees and how much you pay. But you can figure out how much before you pay it. You can figure out how much you might pay right now. So that's a long intro to say, here's the gas fee tracker. So it gives you a low, an average, and a high. And that is based on priority. You can decide to send more or less gas to incentivize the network to process it faster. Let's say it's something you want now. You don't care what the cost is, just do it. Well, you can increase how much gas you send voluntarily, or you can say, I don't care if this gets there tomorrow. So you'll send whatever the low gas fee is to make sure it still gets through, but it is not, like costing you a bunch of money. You're not paying extra to go into the HOV lane or whatever in traffic, right? So you go over here and you see low, average, high. Right now they all say 35 GUI because there's not a lot of dynamic range on the blockchain at the moment, and so that's probably what you should pay. That's about $3.55 or $4. Looks like it's going up as we speak, and not down. So whenever you send a transaction, a simple token transaction, that's how much you can expect to pay in gas is $4, right? Now, if you're doing something more complex, if you're interacting with a smart contract, say I am not available and you want to get those tokens from the open market since you can't reach me personally, well, you can go to OpenSea. We're on V3, and you can swap some of your, let's say you have Ether already, you can swap some of that for MTR 24/7, anytime you want. We don't care, right? And you can do that over on this thing called Uniswap, which is just uniswap.org, I think. It's a website that is a not a central exchange. It's called the DeFi exchange, and you can go in there and pay a higher gas fee to interact with those contracts. And that's where they have low, medium, and high, or whatever. So you see $3.55 for sending something, and then it's like $31, $33 to interact with the contract. So this is what you're going to do. Like if you are minting an NFT, if you're like down that rabbit hole, this is kind of what you're doing, right? You're not on Uniswap v3. You might be on OpenSea doing a sale, right? OpenSea is where our lot are hosted. That's where the layer ownership tokens are hosted. So again, if you know me or someone from Decent Gains or someone that's a community member that comes out to the shows, maybe you come out to one of our shows like the workshop we have on Thursday. You can get these tokens from anyone because everyone earns them just by participating in the community, just being a valuable, active member of the community. You get these for free, right? So you can just grab these from anybody who has them at whatever like compensation you want to give them for taking their tokens from them. Do your own deal, whatever, right? But then there's this platform called OpenSea and Uniswap. So OpenSea is to Uniswap for the lot to the NFTs, right? So NFTs are on OpenSea. FTs, yes, fungible tokens are on Uniswap. Ours are at least. So that's where you can go to see. And then if you don't like it, you can just wait. Go get breakfast, come back later. It's kind of like if you're calling an Uber and it's like, hey, it's busy right now. You might, like, prices are kind of high. At the top, it'll say, in fact, the first time I've had to use Uber a lot was in Miami last week. And I dealt with that all the time. And I'd wait 10 or 15 minutes, the price would go back down. So if you're going to do something and you're not in a hurry, I would say go to this, ethereum.io, click on the gas tracker, which again is in the top middle, I think. Ish, yeah, right here, median gas price, cursor, median gas price. Click on that, it'll open this up and you'll say, okay, what are the conditions right now? And that'll change. The longer you look at it, the more it'll change. But you don't have just to stare at it, it'll change without you. So yeah, that's gas. And there's stuff. It'll call out who's consuming, like if you want to see whose fault it is, who's voluntarily spending the gas, right? You see people, a funny thing that happens is I talked about being able to like skip the line, get in the HOV lane, that kind of thing. You can voluntarily pay more money to make sure your transaction goes through before anybody else's. And that creates a lot of fuckery on the blockchain because you can see transactions going through. And so a lot of people have robots that just watch these transactions. And if they see one that is a low or medium priority for something like an exchange, right? Somebody's trying to make some money. Well, these robots will be like, ooh, I could pay a higher fee, get mine in before that one executes, right? Since I know what they're doing, I can do what they're doing before they get there by paying a higher gas fee. Right? So they snipe that trade, they front run a trader on DeFi exchanges, and then by the time you do your exchange, you don't you get screwed. So you can, if you get into trading, if you get into NFT collecting, if you get into like all of this stuff, right now you don't need any of this shit. All you need to know is how much is it going to cost me to go to OpenSea, and on top of what I pay for it, what's the gas fee going to be? And this can estimate that for you. So at least it's a planning tool. So yeah, there's my little gas demo thing. All right. So that was that's the demo I did yesterday. I hope that was useful.
I don't think potato quality is what I would call that. It was fine.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, the microphone was overdriving. The video I down sampled a lot just to get it to a small size and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, a friend of mine, Chelsea, was wondering about gas, and I was like, here's gas. So that is that's that.
Oh God, I opened the window because it's like a nice day outside, and it's just coming through terrible on this camera.
Oh, it's all good. So, now that we've done all of that,
we can come to something truly important.
Oh crap! Here we go.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So here's a mug. All right. And this is what it looks like on that side, and this is what it looks like on that side.
Oh, so one of them has something for you to read.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, here's another mug. This is what it looks like on that side, and the other side has nothing.
Okay. All right. See, these are better examples than I had.
So this is the opposite, right? So those two are like opposites of each other. Like the one to read, they're on like...
One's left-handed, one's right-handed.
I guess. Yeah.
Which one's right?
Yeah, right? And then here's another one. The Figment of Color one from Disney Festival 2020. And it's that way, and then that way, right?
That's a cool mug.
What is that lid?
Does it have a top?
Yeah, you put it on to like keep it hot, you know?
Okay.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah. So yeah, those are mugs. So I think the answer is do whatever the fuck you want. There's no right answer. Everybody can do it differently. I don't think mugs go, this is a left-handed mug or this is a right-handed mug.
I want it to be, it needs to be standardized.
So there are left and right-handed mugs, but it's for the ones that have like an indent for your thumb.
Oh, that's kind of cool, actually. I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot about those. I had a customer make me a nice mug that had a little indent for one of my fingers, but it chipped around the corner, and I'm sad about it. Also, you mentioned that you got that one you said at Disney.
Yeah.
Can we all make like a coffee with Dan and or just family trip to Disney? Because I really want one of those little robots from the Star Wars place that you can roll around on the ground. And I kind of want to make a lightsaber. Like,
I don't think you have to be there with a family to qualify to get those.
I didn't mean with a family. I just meant like we can go. Holy crap.
No, Disney is for families only.
It's okay.
People get out. Okay?
Dave, look, here's what we're going to do. Dave, we're just going to file as a married couple. We'll adopt John, and then we'll get whatever discount he has. And I'm sure that all of the cost of that will outweigh the cost of a Disney ticket.
There you go.
And that $200 lightsaber, by the way.
Well, we live close enough to just come back home, right?
Yeah,
Instead
that's
of
true. I guess it's like a big deal.
Hotel and stuff like that. So we don't have to pay for a flight and lodging. We can pack food ourselves. Bring a cooler.
That had never occurred to me. Living in Florida, that never clicked in my brain that people don't just get to jump in the car, go to Disney for a day, and go home.
Yeah.
Not that we do, because we live here. But people that we watch online at work, like people that go through like food reviews and stuff and go to all the theme parks, they plan months in advance to bring like their whole family to Florida to like go and spend $3,000 at Disney. Don't do that. It's not.
They probably have. I'll be honest, man. I think those people have more fun than I do.
They probably do, because I would get there, and I every time I've been to Disney as an adult or even as a kid, let's be honest, I didn't. It was all right. I mean, I knew it was a theme park. I didn't think I was going to a magical wonderland.
I think I've only ever been to Magic Kingdom. Really, for the kids and stuff. Like I went to, I might have. They did like a, what's the safari one they did? Like an Africa one or a wildlife one, or they have a whole different one. It's called
Animal Kingdom.
Tree of Life. What?
Animal Kingdom.
Animal Kingdom.
I've
Yeah,
never been there.
I think I might have. I don't know if I went. No, I didn't. This was Busch Gardens. They had animals too.
So I did like all the Disney stuff growing up. I think we did for a year. I think our family, and then my like uncle's family we all had passes, and like once a month, because you got to use them to make your money's worth out of it. We'd go like once a month to Disney. It's like, we got a day off this weekend. Let's just go to Disney. So I got sick of it real quick.
The thing that just popped up.
I've done Drink Around the World at Epcot. It's very fun. Bring your wallet, because it also gets expensive.
$17 cocktail that's this big.
Yeah, it's definitely not cheap. There's really cool festival ones you can do where like you get in line and they have like food from every country at little stands and stuff outside too.
I've been to one of those, and that was crazy. Epcot is the exception to the theme parks, and I guess Universal's pretty cool.
My wife and I went last year for Valentine's Day, and they had like a drink around the world thing or a food and drink around the world thing at Epcot. That was super cool.
That would be cool. See, I haven't. If I went, I would go to Epcot. Like that's the one. Like Epcot's the one that I, as an adult, would want to go to.
I wanted to go to it as a kid.
Yeah, having only been, I haven't as a kid either, but having only been to like the one park or whatever, the around the world thing seems cool. Especially since I've been to a bunch of countries, I can compare and contrast.
If you've never been to like Epcot at some point, we don't have to do it, but you should do it at some point. When I was a kid, I remember it was weird because all the other people wanted to go to like Disney and Universal and everything, but my mom was like, "Hey, Epcot, it's got a giant golf ball and it's kind of educational." And I was like, "Yeah, that's what I want to do."
So that's
not a great selling point.
I'm always down
not a
to
great
go.
selling point at all.
I know Dakota and I would love to go before we move as well, but and then also like my favorite though was MGM. I forget what it's called now.
Oh yeah, right. I've been to some of the other ones. Like I don't know if MGM was what do they call theirs? Because Paramount has one too called King's Dominion that I've been to. MGM. John, you looking it up already?
Yeah.
Dope.
MGM theme park.
Wasn't it just the MGM theme park?
Maybe.
But it changed its name from MGM.
MGM Land.
Yeah, now it's the Sprint.
It's called Hollywood Studios now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right. Okay.
That was my favorite because they had like Indiana Jones, the Kick-Ass. They had it was a Tarzan musical thing, and I loved it because I got to listen to Phil Collins.
Now I have been to Universal Studios a bunch. The studio parks are cool.
Yeah, the Harry Potter world was badass last time I went.
I have like year passes to Universal right now. So.
Cool. I don't even know what's there anymore. I just know the last time I went, I was saddened by their closure of the Back to the Future ride, where they had all the hydraulics on the Mandalorian, on how the hydraulics on the DeLorean, and oh man, now I want to have a Mandalorian, but Mando in a DeLorean, like drawing.
This is the crossover.
Somebody that's artsy, get on that. I'm going to use my extreme levels of fame from this show to say like, hey,
can we make that happen?
Dave.
Can someone draft up a Mando in a DeLorean and say Mandalorian or something?
Did you ever hear back from the guy about drawing us as cartoons?
I don't remember.
It depends. Which cartoons? What are we talking about?
Yeah, which of those times?
There was that one dude that was like, hey, like hit him up because we looked at his art or whatever on here. I was like, that was super cool. He did all
the bubble work with the game? The thing that was he was the artist for the game on Steam that we looked at real quick?
I don't think that was the same one.
No?
I just remember, David, you said you were going to do it.
I did. Oh, yeah, we're talking about the same person. I sent the person a message. I just haven't heard back. I think it's mostly either A, we are being ignored, or B, it's got to do with just how messaging works.
No, it's literally because we don't have DMs yet.
I sent him a tip with a message, so he might have just got my 10 matter and has no idea that I even sent one.
And as we discussed before, there's no notification for tips either. So we should get on the app what I would like to see, and maybe you guys have some other ideas to add to or maybe remove. But when you get tipped, you should get a notification. Hey, somebody tipped you. Oh, neat. I want to see that. Awesome. We should get push notifications on the app for governance issues. If you're eligible to vote on something, should get a push notification. Go vote, please. As well as like some compensation for doing it. Not compensation, but a reward or some kind of incentive to get people to want to do that, you know? And then what was the other thing? DMs, right? DM message. You know what we thought about doing, which maybe we will, I hope we do, is you know how people have to say like, well, there's two problems. A lot of people have in their name, it'll say, will not DM you because of fraud and people like pretending to be someone else and things like that. But there's also the issue of like gatekeepers in industries where maybe you can't get to Elon Musk because you're nobody. Like, why would Elon Musk go through the millions of messages and DMs that they gets every day to find yours, right? But what if you really wanted to get a message through to someone that's a film producer or something, right? And you don't, like right now there's assistants and gatekeepers in industry and people that you got to get through to get to that person. Like it's unique to be able to get to famous people that can do stuff for you, right? Instead of keeping that control in the hands of everyone around them, which is what happens with a lot of organizations. When people have access, they sell that access to other people. What if we literally made a way on DMs to where you could pay someone to talk to them? Like, hey, I know you don't know me. I'm not a bot. Here's 10 matter that I'll put up as a risk of like, hey, no, really, if I'm annoying, you can just take this 10 matter, you know, to get people to incentivize people to answer DMs from random people they don't know, but also allow them to weed out people that like are not going to put up collateral for the message because they're just trying to spam people and they're just trying to, you know, like they would run out of money if they spammed everybody with collateral, that kind of thing. So I think, what do you think about that?
That's a very funny idea. The fact it's like, I'm going to pay you. I hope you hear my pitch. Like,
yeah,
that's a very funny idea. It's like sending somebody a $20 bill with a note attached to it. That's like, please be my friend.
Yeah.
Love me. Here's money.
Yeah, and beyond that, you could even, I would imagine that there would be a courtesy reimbursement of some or all of that collateral by the person that you spoke to. And in much the same way that whenever you boost a post, if you boost a post on Den internally, if the reception from the people you're trying to reach in that layer is positive, if it's evaluated up, you get up to 85% of your money back as a booster, right? You could do that with Matter too. It could be voluntary, and you could even have like a rating of, you know how you I know Facebook has this with bands and companies. It'll say like, you'll have a little bar that goes from red to yellow, orange, or green and stuff about the frequency or how long it takes them to respond back. Usually responds within 2 hours, that kind of thing. Well, we could have one that's like usually gives you half your money back for the like incentivized messages, that kind of thing.
So I don't like that, and I'll tell you why.
Sure.
For the past like 4 weeks, for the past month or whatever, I've been reading a script every day and like of other people's scripts every day and giving them notes back.
Yeah. Okay. This does apply to you.
Yeah. I've been reading their scripts and giving them notes. The person that gives me the shit script that I'm not going to do anything with, I want extra money just for having to read it. And then I don't want to give them any notes. I want my note to be, don't write anymore.
Great.
And then you also owe me $20. That's
Great.
what I want to do.
Great.
Right? So I don't think like, I don't think you should be able to give any money back. Like I could tip you back and be like, hey man, thanks for doing that, but here's your money back. I appreciate you doing that. But like,
well, you just said like, I want to be able to convey to this person that what they gave me was terrible and I never want to read something from them ever again.
Yeah.
You can do that in a reply that says, I'm taking this collateral because of how annoying this was for me to read as compensation.
Yeah, but like, I just think, like, you know what? I think it should just be a separate thing. Like, we don't need to be like, here's your refund. Like, no, I'll just send your money back. If I'm like, hey, buddy, I appreciate you doing that. I really like hope you the best of luck. I just don't have the bandwidth to help you out right now.
So maybe that's a good point, because I did say earlier, like I think it's a better idea to change one little thing at a time instead of doing like so yeah, maybe that was kind of an added on thing that I thought could be neat, but I hadn't fleshed it out too much.
I think it's an unnecessary feature.
What about the initial idea of like Matter?
This is what I thought you were going to say though.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say you create like basically you create a post that tags. We'll use Elon Musk for example. That tags Elon Musk in it, right? And if this and whatever post gets the most, or like a thread, right, or a layer, whatever post gets the most amount of matter or energy, right, that month he gets that message. And been like, there were 120 different unique people that voted on this, and 1 out of 400 other people that were posting, it generated this much matter.
Okay.
You provided this much money and value for this community. Here's a message. Right.
That would be interesting. Now that would require, obviously, all of this would require someone to sign up for it. But so then identifying
it's basically us going through the DMs that he would normally get, and as a community voting on which one he gets to read.
Oh, okay. Right? So you have like a letters to Santa, like where people can put in, okay, here's what I want to write. Here's the messages I want to get across. And that itself could be a marketplace where people evaluate, like coming from here, the community will want the message to be giving a good impression, right? So you want to evaluate, like, okay, what do we want to say to Elon? What's the best message? We can only pick one, maybe per month. I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Now, obviously, you need Elon to sign up for this to get the message, but
so I think we're aiming a little high. What if we just did like, I don't know, like a random senator or
sure.
It's like a C-tier celebrity. Hey, here's a fun, stupid thing we're doing in this social media thing, and I know how much you like cryptocurrency and alternative stuff. Here's a thing that you would just be involved in once a month. The community votes as a whole on one message we'd like to have you read. And it could be like, John's got a script we'd love you to read, and we all think this is a great script and would love you to take a look at it. Or it can be like, hey, pineapple is great on pizza, and we just thought that this is something you should know.
You just need to know this.
And knowing us, that'll be the one that gets voted up.
Of course. The meatiest one possible.
I don't think that's what'll happen, because like what I've noticed on Den is like, memes get voted up, but good content and quality content gets voted up higher. So we think you should know pineapple's good on pizza is going to get 2,000 matter, and it's going to be a great meme. But like the winner is going to be like, hey, my cousin's a big fan and he's kind of struggling right now. It'd mean a lot if you just left him a voicemail. Here's his phone number.
Yeah, here's this.
You know what I mean? Like that's going to, pineapple's going to get some matter because it isn't a 1-to-1 vote ratio. Right? I can say I value pineapple on pizza 10%, but I can say, my Make-A-Wish kid is going to be valued at 90% of my matter or of my energy, right?
Yeah. There's different things that are more important to you than others.
It's like ranked choice. Yeah, pineapple's going to be 4 on ranked choice, but my 1 is going to be trying to do the right thing.
And obviously, anything like that would be started small with, like, we're not going to go straight for the jugular of, like, the richest person on earth.
I say you start with John McAfee.
Well, unless you got a way to cross over into the realm of the dead, I don't think.
That's right. Never mind. I don't know who people
you got to, as far as
I'm still just trying to get him off my computer.
You mean his software?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I uninstalled it yesterday, and now it's like, hey, do you want us to do this next time you reboot? I'm like, no, I don't want you to install it next time I reboot.
I was like, no, I want you to go away forever.
David, Gravity Crab, and I've had that battle for years with McAfee and Norton and anything else really.
Norton, oh god, Kaspersky's decent still.
Aside from Kaspersky being under the thumb of the Russian government, I really like their antivirus software, and their removal tools are fantastic.
Like and stuff like that.
Yeah, they have really hard to find like specific removal tools for specific stuff. I just find myself not like the same thing with. This is way off topic, but like China and Zoom. It's a surveillance tool, and they've been caught just popping into people's meetings randomly, like a person like, hey, we don't like what you're saying in here. We want to talk to you about it. It's like, oh, maybe businesses shouldn't use this because China's known for, corporate espionage in the past and
That's
things like
not
that.
great.
So I have a hard time, for the same reasons, I have a hard time using like Russian influenced software because I don't know what's going on in the world with software right now. It's crazy. The internet's on fire and there's like a shadow war. It's weird.
Everything's strange right now. None of us really know what's going on. It's great.
No, we don't. So we have to assume the worst and make sure that we're safe.
So, but I'm sure there's somebody that I think also like this is like kind of a fun, cool publicity thing, like a fun, cool, just like marketing idea, engagement tool, whatever it is. Like either Den could back a person, be like, hey man, we're gonna give you like $5,000, just like respond to a DM that we're gonna send you, dude. Like it shouldn't be hard. I think especially getting somebody from like that, even like from the crypto community, like, hey,
yeah, for sure.
This question in the mining layer that's not going to be created because it's number one in votes, right? So, sorry, but like
the winner,
put this in like the crypto layer, and we'll get somebody from the crypto community. We're gonna have one thing that we're gonna send you. It's like the top vote from our layer. Right now we're doing an experiment to say hopefully it's not a meme. We're gonna see how this works. You might get pineapples grated on pizza, or it might be a sincere question about the future of cryptocurrency. Who knows?
Yeah, I was gonna say just an idea that I haven't talked to Ashley since we were kids. We grew up together, but someone like Ashley Green, who is in the NFT space already, she has fridgelets. Have you heard of? Probably not. Have you heard of fridgelets?
No.
Or Frigits?
What the hell's a Frigid?
Frigits is an NFT collection. Frigits NFT.
That is a refrigerator.
It's Frigits NFT. It's a collection of people like this. It's food items that we would put in the fridge, right? And they are making they have a whole roadmap and stuff. They're pretty cool. I have some just because I like it when my friends are doing stuff neat, right? So I've got some different stuff. I probably have a broccoli, green justice.
That's kind of cool.
Some of these actually are new. I might have to go in and do something. I knew there was something where you could combine them and make a thing, so maybe I missed that. But what I was thinking is, cool, she's already got an NFT project, so she's familiar with like crypto, stuff like that. She has enough of a film career to need to filter out messages that go to her, right? As an artist. And so that could be something. Maybe I'll reach out and see if she's interested in demoing it. Maybe we could onboard Frigits to Den the same way that Sticky Dolls with their NFT. That would be awesome to be able to do that.
That would be very neat.
I just haven't talked to her at all about it before. I hit them up about the NFTs that their family, my Aunt Michelle, as I call her mom, still to this day, because that's how I was raised. But that would be interesting, John. We could do something there, and maybe if not Ashley, we can get anybody who does have a real need for that sort of messaging system, to where, like, here's what I don't want is the existing system is like, take Wikipedia for example. If you have a competitive new business that you like, a startup that has a bunch of other startups competing against you, and you try to write stuff on Wikipedia about yourself, there are people who will remove your material, who will take it down, who will make sure that you are not published because it competes with their projects, unless you pay the right people to get to the right ear to have your stuff put on Wikipedia to say what you wanted to say. Now, I know this is the antithesis of what Wikipedia is supposed to be, but if you ask, I forget his name right now, but we had one of the founders of Wikipedia on one of the shows that might have been Super Happy last year. And he will tell you he is not a fan of Wikipedia today. It is not what it's supposed to be. And it is overwhelmingly gatekept and guarded by, the whales, the people that want to get paid to decide what's true. Now, that's not the case for all of the articles on Wikipedia, right? That's not the case for like an article about, hay or growing flowers or something like that. It's just all of the tech industry and all of the companies that have unique, innovative stuff are competing. And since a lot of them are concentrated in the same city right now in the US. Everybody knows everybody, and all the offline deals happen that box people out or allow them to get published. Like there's a whole history of that. And so that's the kind of thing that would be interesting where, instead of saying, hey, do you have enough money? I'll put you in touch with this person. I got connections. This is what politicians do. This is what politicians' children do, all of this stuff. It'd be much better to say, like, give the person themselves the incentive to look through and read some messages. And if the person cares enough to get it through, they might pay a little extra as an incentive to get it through. Instead of paying the douchebag, pay the person you want to talk to, So there's my little rant on the state of things. Gravity Crab, what you got?
I have something completely off topic, but it's not even really completely off topic.
Anyway.
Look.
So wait, hold on. Before we go to something completely off topic, let me pitch like one more little thing here. Okay.
Go.
Okay.
So what if instead of that, I love that idea because mostly it was mine, but like also like, what if instead of, because that sounds like if we can't find somebody, we could just do essentially like send somebody like a cameo, right?
What?
Like
cameo. That's a good idea.
The things where you to
totally
respond to your shit will essentially crowdsource a cameo.
That's what Cameo is, yeah.
Yeah, we'll essentially crowdsource a cameo from Den.
That's cool.
But the message we send them is the one that gets voted. It's kind of like when you shoot the message into space, right? It's like, this is this person's words but it's from the group because we've all sponsored that idea. Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah, we could, like the science and space technology layer could all pitch in on, like I've got my name on Mars, but it's just like on a thumb drive with a bunch of other names. So it's not really my name. It's just like data on a thumb drive.
It's a stick.
Yeah. But like conceptually, sent my name to Mars. So if there's ever anything like that, you could crowdsource a thing that a layer wants to do, whether it be reach out to a person and find a way to do that and finance it, or build a rocket and go to the moon.
Okay. Is that it?
I love the idea of send 10 matter to Neil Young and ask him to be on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I just
like fantastic.
I just like the fact that Neil Young's sitting at home going like, hope somebody gives me $5 so I can go on Joe Rogan's podcast and get yelled at about not being a man when I write what am I thinking of? Vietnam protest songs. Like, it's great.
Let's get Alex Jones.
Please. Oh my God, that would be a wild experience.
We'll talk about all the gay frogs.
Oh God,
that sounds great.
So I have a thing here. Okay,
I feel like I'm slowly ruining Den, by the way. But go ahead. Sorry about that.
I have a statement and 2 questions.
Okay.
One, I've known you a long time. I feel like you've told me a lot of things, and I feel like there's things that I still learn. Like question number 1: when the fuck were you going to tell me that you knew Alice Cullen?
Oh, I thought you knew that.
No, and second question, says to not advertising it. Did you just casually name drop a celebrity?
Yeah. Well, it was a good idea.
Damn, Dave.
It was a good idea, Like, I didn't have a reason to.
Yeah, I know. It just has never clicked in my head, and I'm just sitting here. I saw her up there, and I was like, wait a minute. This is not like a C-list celebrity. I know who this is.
Yeah, she was Alice Cullen in
Twilight.
Twilight. Yeah,
that
Twilight.
broke my brain for a second there.
Yeah,
okay. No, just that broke me for a minute.
So I Googled Alice Cullen.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. I guess your friend has
shorter hair, flips out a little bit. Yeah.
I thought your friend had just the same name as the person from Twilight.
Yeah. No. Well, you should watch her films. They're great. Even like cameo appearances or small appearances. I'll see a movie sometimes. It's weird when you know somebody who works in some industry and you hear their music, or like Gravity Crab. You listen to the Y'all Weird's music before you met him.
Yeah, that was very bizarre for me.
It's interesting. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I was watching. What was that? It was called Shrink. I was watching Shrink, the movie Shrink, and just watching the movie, and all of a sudden in walks Ashley Greene, has like one or no lines, is a person waiting who is doing like an ad for Carl's Jr. in the movie or something, and then that was it. It's like 15 seconds, I was like, who the fuck was that? I recognized that person. Went back and looked at the credits. I was like, oh, cool. So it's cool to see, like, and the same thing with music is like local music, especially. I'll see like somebody pop in as a at a live show, to do something cool. I don't know. I love art a lot. I didn't used to. I think it was the mushrooms that did it to me, but I love art.
I think it was the mushrooms.
So what was your other, is this what you were going to ask about, the off-topic thing?
That was entirely it. I was just mind-boggled by that for a second.
Interdimensional aliens on Den. Yeah, Red Pill's got some of that sometimes. I posted something I thought was funny in Red Pill, and I got a bunch of people that were like, oh, no, that's real. And I was like, oh, see, the more you know.
I got to go to Red Pill. Hold up.
I mean,
I haven't been there in a while.
You don't want to. Don't do
No,
it.
I do.
Well, no, okay. This is actually a point of confusion that ticks me off. Is that the whole Red Pill thing was co-opted by Reddit, and it was made like the Red Pill layer on Reddit was made into something completely not what it was supposed to be. And people think of that as like, oh, what it means. So they come to Den and they see Red Pill. I've had one person say, oh no, I get those types of people away from me. I don't want to support that, because he thought it was like full of misogynistic people who are basically incels and talk about how women suck awfully all day and they should be terribly, treated. That is what some people think it is. I don't know why that was done, but maybe it was a psyop. I don't know. But some people misunderstand what the pilling thing is. It's just a Matrix meme. It's like tumble down the rabbit hole, that kind of thing. Okie dokie. So we did look at LCPs. Let's cut back to rounding out what we were talking about here in the beginning, because I think it's about that time. What do you think, John?
Yeah. Do we have any questions or anything that we need to go through?
Yeah, we had one, and then I'll bring up. I want to. I haven't tipped out last week because I was traveling, so I'll go today and I'll tip out both. And actually, I'll do this right now. So thank you, Dragon Chain Holder. I usually just go down and give 2 matter to the people that interact. Thank you.
I like how somebody else is T-Swift hiding hot tea in his cup. I did have tea last time, and I had coffee this morning. Yeah, we never went over what I had for coffee.
Oh yeah, what do you got?
It was 2 shots of espresso and almond milk Baileys, because I didn't feel like going through my fridge to find the almond milk, so I just grabbed the almond milk Baileys off the counter. But then I just finished a cup of tea as well, because I was like, I didn't feel like making a cup of coffee this morning, so I just. Are
you a milk in your tea kind of person?
With chamomile tea, I can do it, but I normally don't. I normally don't. No. If I need to, if I'm like, I need a little bit because I'm not feeling great, I might do that, but normally no. Usually it's like honey, lemon, or sugar, and then tea.
Okay. Well, we talked about what's in my cup. You had coffee in your cup too, right, David?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't remember what kind. Actually, it's a macadamia nut coffee. I ran out of coffee as per usual, and which I posted about on here. And I started digging through the store, hoping desperately that I had an emergency bag of coffee when we ran out. And in the back of the store, I found a tiny little bag of coffee. So, yeah, that's what I'm drinking now. God only knows how old it is, but it's fine. Probably.
Cool.
Hopefully it's actually coffee.
I'm going to tip this 1 instead of 2. 2 coffees, 1 cup. I didn't need that image, but thanks.
No, I didn't. I was not happy about it either.
What else do we have here? And then there's that. And then Smiling Caitlin says, good morning. Good morning, Smiling Caitlin. Awesome. So there's the comments. There's the notes on the LCP. Go vote.
Do you know if she's coming? Do you know if Caitlin's coming out tomorrow?
I think so. I think she plans to. Yeah.
Cassie's been cooking, making cookies and cupcakes and stuff all day. She's really excited.
Well, we have. I'll tell you about it later. But we have a photographer who's accepting matter for services to shoot all of our events. So that's cool. It's a direct usage of matter. The person has been using Den for about a year off and on, not heavily, but enough to be familiar with it and see where it's going and be like, okay, I'm starting to get how to use this. We've talked about they're just going to let it stack up. They have no intention of like liquidating right now. They just want some way to. This person wants some way to invest in cryptocurrency without needing to pay for it and buy it and risk anything. You know what I mean? So this is a way of working and taking it as payment, as well as the benefits that come along with that, which is posting your work on Den and getting extra payouts for that, potentially tips, or at least the regular rewards and the auto staking that comes with it. So I'll be paying them directly on Den, which means it'll be a free transaction, no gas fees like we talked about earlier, and it will automatically begin staking for them, so they earn lore, so that they can vote more and things like that. So that's a really good thing to have happened. That's a great working relationship, and Decent Gains, as of this week, is a legal entity in the state of Florida. So we can do business, we can go harder than we have, and we can basically take the gloves off. And now that we have very useful things, we can run with them and we can build whatever we want on top.
Is that the person that we had on the first show?
No. Liza's busy doing. Oh, if you're in Gainesville, go see Ruff at Bodidley Plaza. I think they're on the 19th or something this month. Yeah, this week or something. Really cool stuff they're doing. It's on whatever the 19th is, or the 20th. I'll have to, whichever one is. You know what? I don't know. I'll put it in
whichever one makes more sense.
Whichever one I can find later that confirms it, I'll post it in the Gainesville layer for you. How about that? We didn't look at any top voted posts this week
or last week. I don't think, did we? Did we go through it?
Probably not, because of all the jankiness with the connection and stuff.
Oh, that's right. We were talking about like the Miami things and all the conferences that you were doing.
I don't think we probably don't want to take the time for it today. I will point out a cool post in history though. The Secret Train Station in New York by Vincent Spadefor.
I saw something about this, but I didn't read it yet.
Yeah. I haven't evaluated it yet, but I read over a little bit. Look at this cool old train.
That's badass.
Yeah. So it's like a secret train station apparently used by presidents to go in and out secretly. And
That's awesome.
So check that out in the history layer.
Did you? Okay, so you grew up in Fort White, but did you spend much time in like my neck of the woods over in High Springs growing up?
Not a bunch, no.
Okay.
I was mainly I was in Gilchrist County, and then I moved from Gilchrist County, which was technically a High Springs address. I moved to Fort White, and then I moved from there. I moved around, man.
Yeah,
I was in Lake City, I think. I was in Lake City during most of that time. When I was a kid, and then Ohio, and then back to Fort White is when I came. So I went from the woods, like, hunting my food, growing it, go to the grocery store that's 30 minutes away by car with no traffic to get, preserved goods or non-perishables, but everything else was basically, live off the land, which was great. I mean, I had a great early childhood, but then I moved from there. I went to Lake City, went to Ohio, came back to Fort White, and then I joined the Navy, and I went to Chicago, and it was like culture shock. You know what I mean?
Oh, God, I couldn't even imagine that.
Yeah. That's probably why I'm so fascinated with computers. Is I grew up, it's interesting being one of the last generations to experience the before times. And
it is kind of strange.
Yeah, to be able to relate today to like something 30 year ago, or pre-cell phone, or pre-internet, or any of that, where humans couldn't just willy-nilly communicate with each other across the globe anytime. Hey, the IRS picked up. Congratulations.
Oh, awesome.
So I just saw that. Remember, one of our viewers is waiting for the IRS to pick up. So
it's funny that you mentioned the before times thing and the communication between people thing.
Yeah.
You know what I found myself weirdly nostalgically missing recently? So I was a kid from 1994 was when I was born. So I was a kid through late 90s, early 2000s. So I had some fun television in the mornings, but I remember
Saturday morning cartoons.
No, not even the cartoons. Commercials. TV commercials are the thing that everyone used to complain about, and we all just have packages that block them and remove them now. I miss watching a stupid cartoon, getting halfway through it, and then getting shown spy gadgets. and shit. That I could like communicate, or even like toys that weren't marketed at me as a guy, but I was just like, damn, I kind of want like, I don't care that it's pink. I kind of want like a multi-level mansion for like my Star Wars figures to hang out in. That'd be awesome.
Right. You're like, oh, that's why girls like that so much. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. So like with the communication thing though, there were so many toys that were like geared towards just between you and one other person. And it was like, RF transmission between whatever. I was just watching some of those old commercials recently.
I was at where were we? We were somewhere, and I saw this game shop. It had a bunch of figurines and things like that. We were talking earlier about my friend. I remember growing up with the Greens. We had I don't know whose it was. It was probably not mine, but it was like one of the Ninja Turtle sets that had the van, and it shot pizza discs. Little plastic pizzas. It shot the pizzas out. I remember playing with those. Absolutely, it was awesome. Yeah, and that and like the army planes and all that stuff. Imagination, right?
Yeah, it was fun at that point in time. I nowadays I'll go into a store like when Jackie's got her family in town. We'll go with like their younger one out to the store or whatever, and they'll end up in the toy section, and I'll be in there looking at toys like, damn, that's really kind of cool, and I want to spend $40 on it.
Yeah, do you remember a TV show called Dino Riders? There was a TV show that it really wasn't a TV show at all. There was a toy line called Dino Riders, and so there's a kids cartoon, 1 or 2 seasons, 1988. Is that true? Yeah, I guess it must be 88. That's longer ago than I thought. Anyway. Dino Riders was specifically a show created for selling toys. It's the only reason the show existed. So it was one giant advertisement. And is this it? Yeah. And they had the most coolest, awesomest, like dinos with guns and lasers on it. And it was like, so the bad guys, there were spaceships in the beginning, like Star Wars. And they went through a weird interdimensional warp hole thing and crashed on this prehistoric Earth. They went back in time. And so the bad guys are lizard people, fittingly enough, and they use technology for evil, and they strap, you see on top of the head, there's that helmet thing. That's a mind
controlling their brains.
Yes. And so that's a mind control device. Their eyes turn red when it gets on them. But they also have freaking lasers and shit, right?
And hands on their crotch for some reason.
Yeah, extra hands. And then the good people, see, look at that. How awesome is that?
That's so cool.
That is like a visual representation of dubstep. Is how good that is. And then, see if I can find an example.
It looks like something from Warhammer 40K.
It does. It was the right era for it, too.
Yeah. And so, running time 27 minutes, including Tyco commercials. So you have all these really well, like I watch them today, like sometimes, depending on my mood. But like you were talking about, you love it, David. Look it up on YouTube. I think there's a lot on there
today. Actually.
And the advertisements are for the freaking toys that they just got done having a cartoon about. So it's like, you like this? Cool. You can have this.
It's like that's such a good. It's such a good way to advertise to kids. To be honest, though, it's like, oh, you just watched an episode with this thing that was in it. Well, here's a model of it that your parents can buy you. Like, that's brilliant.
Pneumatic gear is on hold again. Thanks for the update.
Guy.
Well, that figures. You know,
that's Jacob Wayne, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure pneumatic gear.
Pretty sure.
Well, that's wild. I don't know how we ended up on a Dino Riders tangent, but I like it. It reminds me of
we're talking about cartoons for kids and things.
Do you remember? I'm sure you've seen it, but like the 1987, I want to say, Transformers movie. It's literally just. I mean, it's some of the best voice acting talent that you could find at the time thrown into a freaking Transformers movie. Like,
no, I don't think so.
Yeah, who is it? Orson Welles is in it. Is a freaking giant planet-destroying creature. Leonard Nimoy is in it. It's freaking wild. But it's just an 80s cartoon commercial. I mean, because it's Transformers, so it's a toy commercial through the whole damn thing. But the soundtrack is great, and it's actually a pretty good film. So.
I think it's interesting. It's cool to see old stuff that famous people were involved in. I was watching. I don't know. You ever watch AVGN, the Angry Video?
Oh, absolutely.
There's an episode on like a fish game, an evolutionary fish game. It was terrible. Seaman. Yes, not Seaman, but Seaman. And it was the voice of Leonard Nimoy was the narrator to that video game.
Hello, I'm Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah,
He pops up just like that.
Yeah, those are good.
I liked Seaman. I had a Dreamcast, and I was lucky enough for a while to have a working Dreamcast mic because they break so often. So when I was collecting game consoles, I had a copy of Seaman, and it was the buggiest thing. You really do just get to a point where you're cool with boiling them alive because you just don't want his weird little face to keep turning and insulting you.
Yeah,
it was like having a virtual fish tank that insulted you. It was great.
John, you got any throwback? You play games, watch movies mostly. What did you do when you were a kid? What was your like? What are your fond like memories of as a consumer in the U.S.?
Oh, I watched all of the Power Rangers, man. That was my thing.
Oh yeah,
Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles,
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Anything that had fighting in it, I was about when I was growing up. I was a big Rugrats guy too.
I can get behind that.
When I got older, I realized Tommy was just Doctor Who. He runs around with a screwdriver.
He does have a screwdriver.
And then runs around and goes on adventures, and they go into like magical worlds.
I used to watch, for whatever reason, I was obsessed with Rugrats. I just wanted to keep watching it.
I thought it was awesome.
It's straight up based off of the Doctor, like the show Doctor.
Huh.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I always just remember finding it weird that as I watched it, as I got older, I just noticed that the parents are in various different levels of either financial or emotional ruin at all times.
And then,
See, all that went way over me as a child.
Yeah, like seriously, like Angelica's got a workaholic mom and a dad that doesn't pay much attention. It's a shit show.
Yeah, and then what was the other thing I used to watch? I don't know.
The Rugrats taught me to be nice to people, but also to be able to tell them when something that they were doing was a terrible idea. Like specifically, there was an episode where the one girl, Susie or whatever, was making cookies, and they were terrible, and they just kept eating the cookies, even though they were terrible. And there's like, I can't eat any more of this shit. We got to tell her they're bad. So,
hey Dave, you want to answer an NFT question for me?
Yeah, I can do that. I was just looking for something. You said Power Rangers, and I was looking for something that I can't find. So that's perfect. Yeah, we got.
Oh yeah. Funny thing too. Before Sesame Street was created as a show for adults that they can watch with their kids. Because like in Sesame Street, it's just a whole bunch of like pop culture references and stuff like that. And so like it was literally created and put on PBS so that adults had something to watch that their kids would like as well. And I thought that was just like super interesting.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, because like who's good? You have to sit there and watch this shit with your kid. So like if you go back now and you watch like cartoons, like the reason why there's so many like adult references in it, not necessarily like inappropriate, but just like
but stuff that you wouldn't get
to keep the adult's brain engaged.
Yeah,
you don't have the life experience to get the one-line jokes.
I didn't know that was a thing until myself and Dave have a mutual friend that had a kid a few years back, Lydia. And when her kid was growing up, she was watching Sesame Street with her specifically. And there was a whole section that was Twilight, like the whole entire saga of it. But it was like, his name wasn't Edward, his name was Shortbreadward. And Shortbread was like, I love you, Shortbreadward. It was, oh my God, it was hilarious.
This was Sesame Street?
This was Sesame Street. It was a whole puppet segment that was wild.
Cool, all right.
I went back and watched some of it just out of curiosity.
Neat.
Like, I love you, Shortbreadward. And they have that monotone, like, fake.
I went to boot camp with a guy whose last name was Whitebread. All one word, Whitebread. And he was tall and pale. Very pale, I remember that.
Holy shit. Okay.
So in the military, everybody walks around with their last name on their shirt. You don't know their first name at all. So the dude said Whitebread and was like, dude, all right. I also went to electronics school with an electronics technician named Mars Millennium Falcon Star Cruiser. Full name.
Mars?
Did he change it to that? Or was
his dad named him that.
His dad is an asshole, but I think that's hilarious.
The story that I heard was everybody, he had maybe 3 siblings or something, but they were all named after planets, first name. Middle name was all ships from the Star Wars saga. And then Star Cruiser was what, I guess in one of the original script, that Skywalker was called Star Cruiser instead of Skywalker.
I heard that.
So yeah,
Thank God that got changed.
There was
So that was the other thing I watched growing up is I had like buckets and buckets of Star Wars action figures.
Oh yeah.
Did you have the
I watched
ships?
a lot of Star Wars and stuff like that.
Did you have the model ships?
Yeah.
Because I had tons of the ships. I thought they were really cool. We had an antique store in town.
I had like a
that had some of the
Millennium
old ones.
Falcon. I had like TIE fighters and stuff, X-Wings.
The Millennium Falcon made like all the cool little noises. Like you'd push the button and it would have like the hyperdrive not going into engaging mode. It was freaking sweet.
I feel like the end of this episode should be cut and posted to the nostalgia layer.
It should. We just throw it in there later.
I remember I had one birthday. It was like one of my favorite birthdays. I think my parents literally, the only thing I got was Star Wars action figures. And I think there's, like, in retrospect, I'm thinking about it, they spent like $200-$300 just on Star Wars action figures.
Hell yeah.
And like, I used to play with them and shit. But now I'm like, you know what? They should just kept them in the box.
Yeah, it'd be worth so much more now.
That'd be so cool.
I always, I had a friend who collected Hot Wheels, and I like to collect just the Corvettes, not all the Hot Wheels, but just every Corvette I could find. But I always took them out of the box. Like, I want to play with the damn thing. I want to roll
it up on a shelf.
Wheels that move.
Not in a box.
Roll it around, yeah. But he had his whole room. I remember growing up, he had his whole room, every wall, covered in Hot Wheels in the box, pinned to the wall, and he would have the full series of like, oh, this is the edition, and there's like these, every car in that release series. And that was like an NFT drop from Hot Wheels, basically.
As somebody that's designed, he's ready to be a collector for his whole life.
Oh, yeah, totally. What was your question about NFTs, John?
You want to pull up my tab real quick?
Oh, yeah. I see something that says peanut butter. Is this Frigits?
Yeah. So I was like, these things are pretty cool. I kind of like them. And then,
he's cool.
Right? I thought this guy was like pretty cool.
Peanut butter doesn't go in the fridge.
All right.
Just putting that out there.
Everybody listening, you're screwing up. You're putting peanut butter in the
fridge. It does harden.
Thank you.
That's true.
Unless you want hard peanut butter, then put it in the fridge. You know, I don't.
Yeah, if your goal is to eat little nuggets of peanut butter, go for it. But
yeah.
I don't like to push a hole through my bread like it's a stone.
Or
what was the question about this?
Soft later. There you go. Okay, cool. So like, I thought this one was cool, right? So if I wanted to buy this, right, this would be like my first ever NFT purchase, right? If I wanted to buy this, I'd like do this shit, right? But like, also make an offer, so I can offer them less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? For sure. And in fact, that's how a lot of people that that want to trade NFTs, if they see that there's things that are what you want to do is you can do a lot of shit, and I'm not an expert, but basically, if you see sales happening at a certain price point of that collection, if the fridgelets, right? Maybe that's called the floor price, meaning like what you can expect to get for it. Maybe it takes a couple days to get someone to buy it, whatever. But you can also make an offer. You can offer half that much or a quarter of that much, right? And if the person just wants to get rid of their NFT, they might accept that offer. Like on my end, it'll say when the offers come in, like I've had, for example, properties on Decentraland where there was always like 3 offers at any given time by probably bots that just want to go and get a good price on anybody willing to liquidate. And so they just go put a bunch of lowball offers on, and some of them hit, and then you can resell it for what it normally sells for, and maybe you make a profit, that kind of thing. Now their collection is going to have utility and like some gamification involved too, I saw. So I don't know what else there is to use it for, but that's the story there. You can just, you can make an offer, and then you got to have the Ether in your wallet first. But basically, when you make that offer, you're signing a smart contract with this platform, with this OpenSea people, the third party, where they now are basically serving as the, what is it called, escrow, I guess, where if the other party agrees, then they give you the NFT and them the Ether, right? Yeah. So that's how that works.
Makes sense. So one, like you said, I have to have the Ether in my wallet already. Is there an exchange fee for buying Ether?
There's a gas fee. Yeah.
And that's probably like a $30 gas fee.
So if there's options, you can either find a centralized exchange that allows U.S. residents to operate on them, and create an account and send that account either like Bitcoin that you buy from Cash App or US dollars if you have your bank account attached to them. There's this whole like pain in the ass process of KYC, and it takes like a week, right? So you can do that, and you can buy Ether and then take the Ether and send it to yourself, so it's in your MetaMask or your local wallet. And once you have it, then you can use that as money on these platforms instead of your bank account. Now, another way to do it is if you have another asset, like let's say you have Matter, MTR, right?
Yeah.
This isn't going to exactly work because you have to already have some Ether in your wallet for this to work, because every transaction you do takes a gas fee, like I talked about earlier, and that gas fee is paid in Ether. But theoretically, you could move, if you had a little bit of Ether for gas, you could move Matter out of Den that you've earned into your wallet. And then from your wallet, you can go to Uniswap and swap it for Ether. And you pay whatever the network gas fee is at that time. I think we looked earlier and it was like, well, here, what? It doesn't matter. It could be $30. You know what I mean? So you don't pay that $30 fee on a centralized exchange, but it's also more of a pain in the ass to deal with centralized exchanges. And there's less privacy if you care about that. And there's less security, because if you have tokens that are represented on an account that you have on an exchange, that doesn't mean you have them. That just means they promise to give them. It's an IOU. It's like, oh yeah, I owe you this many tokens if you ever want them.
So what about so hypothetically, could you act as the intermediary if you have Ether? So you would buy the Ether, you would buy the NFT with the Ether. I would pay you out in Matter, and then you would send
and that would just be a friend-to-friend deal or whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you would send me the NFT for free.
For whatever it costs me, but yeah. Maybe I'll tell you, just tip me in Matter.
Like if I pay you in Matter.
Yes, exactly. Right. So I could buy it. I own it. I know how to do all that, and I have the gas fee or whatever. And so maybe I account for the gas fee and say, cool, I'll take the price that I paid plus the price I paid in gas, convert it to Matter, tip it to me. Here's your NFT. We can do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so buying something is going to cost a gas fee as well.
Yes.
What I was trying to say is is there a way to get around having to spend like the $30 in gas?
Yes, and that is doing something like we're doing with Den, developing an entire marketplace that can be used on what some people call a side chain, maybe. But basically, the marketplace has to be designed differently. So on OpenSea, no. Those are on what's called layer 1 native Ethereum, and it takes whatever Ethereum charges to do that. Now, I'll say caveat. I did read yesterday that Ethereum did a practice transition over from proof of work to proof of stake. What that means ultimately for the end user is that the fees are going to go way, way, way down, and that will be way less of an issue from now on. But that's not merged to mainnet, but it does work. They did a shadow merge, a shadow fork, they called it. And they shadow forked the entire Ethereum mainnet into a proof of stake instead of proof of work. So basically no miners, no GPUs, no, gas, like electricity, gas hogs, stuff like that. And that's supposed to make it higher bandwidth, throughput, and also lower fees at the same time. So it's a temporary problem, I think.
Okay, cool. One last question. I don't know if you want to share my tab again.
Fire away, that's fine. I can open your thing here again.
Yeah. So on these that don't have like a sale.
Oh yeah.
Right? Are these just like I'm gonna make an offer and hope they like it?
Yes. So this is where the ones that I already have bought will show up in here.
Yeah.
Because it's part of the collection. Now you can click on them and see who the owner is, and you can see if there's any history on it. But so you can go down, you can see price history. Yep. Nothing yet. So it hasn't sold. So whoever owns this minted it, meaning they're the first owner. So it has no sales, and they're offering it up for sale. Oh, go down again. Owned by Tony for you. So go up again. You're going all over the place here. All right. Stop. See how it says owned by Tony for you down there below the photo? Click on that, Tony for you. So this is Tony for you's account. This is like looking at his bank account. So scroll down, and you can see what else whatever Tony's bought in the past, NFTs, there's what they've got. And this is why the open ledger is interesting, because you can just dial into anyone's business and see what they've bought in the past.
That's kind of, I don't know how I feel about that. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know how to feel about that. And I feel like, that's the reason that we're seeing all these privacy coins get a lot of attention, is because it's like, do I really want, like, there's a website, what's that, Swag Your Life? You can find some interesting stuff this way. If you want to do research on what other people are doing and what other people are buying, you can even see their buys and sells to see if they're profitable or not. And you can make a decision of like, okay, this person doesn't know what they're doing if they're trying to make money, but maybe that's not the point.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you could just like follow one person and try to just copy what they do too. It'd be interesting. If you know
there's
this.
I'm not to like, they're not paying me to say this, I guess, but eToro has a copy trade feature where you can literally look at other traders' history and say, copy this trader. If they make a trade, do whatever they do with my account.
Oh, God.
That's cool.
I think it's cool too. Offload that brain power. I don't care about. I've tried trading. It's just too much to keep up with. So a lot of these are different than what I saw when I bought mine. Because I think I have the bare ingredients. There's something that you can do where you make like something cool out of two of them. I think I got to go figure that out.
I just want to point out really quick from the comment section, when we were talking about toys earlier, Jacob Wayne absolutely called me out because I was talking about, like, models and houses and stuff. Polly Pocket, 100%.
Polly Pocket?
100%. That's exactly what I was talking about.
Never heard of Polly Pocket.
There were these they were like the size of a Star Wars action figure, so they fit perfect.
Yeah.
That was what he said earlier, and I was like, all right, yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. They were weird. They had like plastic clothes.
This Frigid's thing is got a food tie-in also in offline space. And I don't know what it is, but they're somehow tying into healthy lifestyles and stuff. And I don't know what the angle is off the top of my head, but there's something. You have to go look it up.
I kind of like this sciencey stock of broccoli.
Well, all right. It's about 11 o'clock my time, and I think I'm going to go do something else, at least as productive, if not more, if I can manage it.
I got to go do my normal thing of fix other people's junk.
Yeah. So this is pretty good. This is a good episode. I liked it. I like being back home. I like Miami, but I'm glad to be done with Miami too.
I'm glad you're somewhere with decent bandwidth again.
Yeah, for sure. So any last things you want to talk about real quick before we shout outs, pitches, goodbyes, whatever's? Because I'm going to roll a clip here in a minute and we'll be out of here.
If you're in Gainesville, go to trivia tonight at Vecinos, 8 p.m. Be there or don't, because you're in a different city.
Be there or don't, because you had something else to do.
Trivia night.
If you're in Gainesville, come see us tomorrow.
Trivia night with a denizen, with Justin with the good hair. Is that Vecinos, right?
Justin with the good hair?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I think that's his name.
Is there a Justin with the bad hair?
No.
Somewhere in the world.
He never has bad hair.
Does he have good hair?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't.
It's the Savants of Soul guy.
Yeah.
Oh, he does have good hair.
Yeah. Sometimes he sticks a fork in it or whatever, the brush.
It was such a good band. I still can't get over how good of a show that was.
Is such a good band, yeah. Cool. Anything from you, Gravity Crab?
I'm good for the most part.
Cool. And you know what I didn't mention at all is that if you are in Gainesville, Thursday, there's workshops on how to do all this stuff yourself without needing any help.
Yeah, come see us. We'll have cookies.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you next Wednesday. I'll see everyone a lot sooner. I'm going to get to work on some more Den stuff. So I'll see everybody around. There is a governance call tomorrow also. I'll make that one. There's a governance call tomorrow, 3 p.m. And also World Blockchain Roundtable tomorrow at this time at 11 Eastern. We're going to be talking about, I don't remember, stuff. I want to say I know what it is. It's like self-sovereignty in privacy in the world of like surveillance and stuff like that. So that'll be interesting. So check us out. Yeah, we get heavy over there sometimes. Sometimes in a way that I'm uncomfortable with, but it's all fun. It's all
Every
fun.
once in a while, so you just be like, "Oh God, like what is here? What's going on?"
Cool. All right, everyone. Well, have a great day, and we'll see you next time. This has been Coffee with Den. See you next week.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, raw capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.